Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm Gamesplaining Clinic. So if you have watched my first video, you'll have an idea of how the first part of each round goes, the actual actions. The next is the business and admin that I'm going to deal with in this video. Assuming this is what my table looks like, what my board looks like after the 3 turns have all happened, the very first thing that will happen next is I will gain some money. So I gain money for treating any of the patients. So I have a white patient here and a yellow patient there. Yellow patients are worth 12 money. White patients are worth 8 money. So at the moment, I've managed to get 20 money in. This yellow patient is being dealt with in a room next to a garden. So that's worth another 2 money to me. So that's 22 money. Those guys go away and they take cars with them. And 22 money gets put down there. Notice that's in a different spot than my actual bank is at. And it will become clear why in a moment. So please just bear with me. If I happen to deal with any patients in here, I'm getting 6 money. And I can use any doctor with any colored patient in that room. So that would have been 6 money coming in. The next thing I do is I pay for my usage. So I'm paying for the doctors or the staff that I have. And here is a list of how much each of them costs. So my orange doctor is going to cost 3. My white doctor will cost 1. My nurse will cost 1. My orderly will cost 1. So that's 6 money to start with. My orderly makes the payment cheaper by 3. So I'm back to 3 money. And then I'm also paying for each different hub that I have in my hospital and each garden. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to add on to that, which brings me to a grand total of 12. So I pay for the 12 money out of this area. If I run out of money here, I can use that money, but I need to use this money first. By the way, if you run out of all money, you don't have any, you're moving backwards on that track. If you can't move any further back because you're already at 0, then you just get the stuff for free. So don't stress on it. But give you a tip, you do not want to run out of money. It becomes very hard if you do. Once all that stuff's been paid for, you then have the choice of moving your money across there and just throwing it into your bank so you can use it to help you get future employees or build up your hospital to larger areas. Or you can turn them into prestige points. I have 10 money that I can choose to do that with. I think at this point in time, I might use 6 of that money to turn into the prestige points, which is 2 prestige points, and the other 4 money come over to the side. So that's 6 money, 2 prestige points, so 6 divided by 2. Once that has all happened, we then set up for the next rounds, we do the admin. So let's say that's what the board looks like at the end of the 3rd round, because new tokens come out or new patients come out at the end of each of the action rounds. So the first thing that happens is we move that counter back to the beginning of the track. The next thing is these 3 are removed. So anything in the red column is removed. That is then put back into the bag. And all the patients move forward 1. Every doctor who's at the university becomes 1 color higher than they were. We then refill. So out of the doctor bag, we pull enough to make up the correct number of doctors for the number of players. So in a 2-player game, you're going to have 3 doctors up there. If people haven't hired nurses, we remove them from the round that we are on. If anyone has this specialty module, let's say, for example, there was a doctor on that. What now happens is any doctor that's in there, you can only keep 1 in that hub, by the way, at a time. You can't do any more than this. But he gets 2 levels more experience. So yellow would become red. The other thing that happens is you get 1 point for using that. So if you've got that hub, it's worthwhile using it every round for 1 doctor. Every other doctor in your hospital gets 1 color less. So this orange doctor becomes a yellow doctor, white remains as white. Then every patient who has not been seen yet would get 1 color sick. I have the yellow patient looking for the eye specialty. Once that's happened, any of these piles that have a face down tile on them flip over. So that's now available again for the next round. We then look at the player order for next time. The player order is according to where we are on the prestige track. So whoever is furthest at the back of that prestige track will go first. If that's what the player order looks like at the end of the last round, and that's what's going to at the beginning of next round, we would still swap. So if it's a 3 or 4 player game, the last player becomes the first player if there's no change. If there is a change in that order, then that's all it is. We don't need to worry about that. And that's pretty much how a round works. We obviously move the cube back down to show that we're now on round 2, and we keep going forward. When we get to the end of the game, you're going to gain points for the color of doctors that you have in your hospital. So this hospital has a white EL and a red doctor. Red's worth 5, yellow's worth 3, white is worth 2, so that's worth 10 points. 1 point for each nurse, so that's on 11 points. Then you get an extra 8 points for having a secondary building. So I've got 2 buildings here, so it's another 8 points. And that's all on this, by the way. Plus 8 points for the extra building. Then you're also getting points for each of your treatment rooms, which are the orange ones, that are on this level, this level, this level. These 2 levels can be built at any time to make your hospital taller. But those treatment rooms must be able to be serviced. So they must be next to a service hub, and they must have a supply room connected to them. If they happen to have, let's say, he's built that there. If they happen to have the supply room below them, as long as the service hub is on the same level, that would gain an extra 2 points for having that on that position. If he were to build another one, it's still only 2 points because this is incomplete. It needs to actually have a connection to a pink service hub. Then any patients who have not been served loses points. So I've got a yellow patient over here. He would lose 4 points for that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you lose points for wherever you're up to on the time track. So it's another 2 points here, drop backwards for where he's on the time. And that is the game. There's a lot going on. There's a fair bit of minutiae going on, but just if you've got everyone kind of keeping an eye on what's happening, you can usually catch all of that. Sporadically, just double check you've got the right number of cards with the right number of people in your hospital, and add or subtract if you need to. Remember, they can't be moved for you to do buildings, so you need to actually think about where they're going. Running out of money isn't the end of the world, but it makes things very hard because there's only one thing you can do when you don't have money, and that's take more patients in. So you can do that twice, but you've got a third turn or third action to do something. The only other thing that you can do for free is build a supply room on the ground level. Everything else is going to cost money. So just bear that all in mind as you're playing, that you need to make sure you've got at least a couple of dollars at the end of each round so you can keep doing stuff into the next rounds. Obviously, if you are playing a larger player count game, hiring those 2 doctors is free as well. And potentially hiring the nurses on the top level if you're in a 4-player game also. But that is everything for Clinic. Please go ahead and watch my Gamesplained to get a feel for how one round actually plays at this game. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.